You weren't a bad player yourself. You started at Charlton before moving on to West Ham. What are your memories of those days?
Well, when I went to Charlton, I was 15 when I went to Charlton, and when I was 17, Jimmy C called me into the office and he said, "I'm going to sign you professional." He said, "Because you're going to get called up for the army in the next 2 or 3 weeks." so I said, "All right." So I signed professional, and I got £10 signing-on fee, and I got 30 shillings a week retainer, and I went in the army, and I was in the army for 2 years. I was stationed in Austria actually, which was very, very good for me because I played with a team called Wacker, and I played with 2 or 3 Austrian internationals, and Ockwork was one, and it was a good experience for me, and I learned a few things out there about training.
At West Ham, you were with people like Noel Cantwell, Bobby Moore. That must have been quite special. Of course, did Bobby Moore used to call you Mr. Allison?
Mr. Allison. one day, he was a 12-year-old. When I first worked with him, he was a 12-year-old. And Ted Benton asked me to train the youngsters. And after I'd been there about a month, he called me in the office and he said to me, "Who's the best player, best young player we got?" I said, "Well, I think the boy Bobby Moore is." He said, "What about George Fenn?" He said everybody in the country wanted to sign him. Like, he scored 9 goals for England playing in one match. He was a big, strong, good runner and quite a good finisher. And everybody wanted to sign him. I said, "Well, I think Bobby Moore's a better player than him." I said, "I'm not too sure about George Fenn." I said, "When they get bigger and stronger," I said, he won't be so good, you know. Anyway, everybody knows what Bobby did. And, I was standing at the bus stop one day, just finished training, and he came and stood next to me. He said, "Mr. Allison," he said, "can I sit next to you on the bus?" I said, "Certainly, Bob." Sit down. So he's got on the bus, and he's never stopped asking me questions all the way, asking me about this and about that. You know. And he said to me, "Malcolm," he said, no, he said, "Mr. Allison," he said, "what's the most important thing about football? What's the most important thing to do?" I said, "Knowing what you're going to do with the ball before you get it." And he said to me, "That's wonderful, wonderful." And he said, he wrote in his book that he did that on every ground in the world. You know, he knew what he was going to do with the ball before he got it.
He was a great, great player. We know all about him. But it was your time at West Ham that you had your heart broken, wasn't it?
Yeah, I had TB, and it was the year that West Ham won the second division championship, and I'd worked very, very hard, and there was 8 players in that team who were managers, and there was great enthusiasm amongst the side, and it was only the 6th game, and I was so disappointed when I had to go to hospital. I was in hospital for a year, and they won promotion that year. That was a bit of a... I was delighted for them to win the championship, but I was disappointed that I didn't play in it.
At what point in your life did you decide to gamble? Because I remember coming across information about you that said that you had a 12 months where you just gamble almost a professionally.
Yeah. Well, I didn't decide. I mean, life was decided itself upon me. And one day I went to the races, and I met a pal of mine called Arthur Shaw, who played for Arsenal, who loved racing. And he said, "How are you, Mel?" I said, "I'm fine, I'm fine." He said, "Oh, you look great." Everybody used to say, "How are you?" You know, when they know you've been in hospital, like, you know. Anyway, I said, "I feel great." And we were standing by the rails this day, and Jeff Lewis came over. He loved football, Jeff Lewis. "How are you, Malcolm?" I said, "I'm fine, Jeff, I'm fine." "Come and see me tomorrow," he said, "I'll give you a winner." So he told me a horse that won, and then we started going together, Arthur and I, and then we sort of gambled for the next 18 months, 2 years. But I realised we won a lot of money the first year, and I realised after a while that, you know, as a professional gambler, you only finish up one way, losing. And really and truly, I wanted to be in football. And strangely enough, I was offered a job at Bath City and went and took it.
So Bath City, Plymouth Argyle,